Yo guys, what is going on? Got a Shivamon deck profile for you guys. I've been messing around with Shivamon quite a bit. I've been super excited. It's a really cool Digimon and a much slower paced deck. This is a traditional evolution deck, so I don't think this deck is going to be winning any tournaments anytime soon, but it is a lot of fun and it's got some really cool anti-meta strategies. So if you're a big fan of green but you don't want to play maybe like green hybrid and you just want something new to mess around with, this is the list for you. So let's go ahead and get into it. So for the Digi-Eggs, I'm playing a lineup of 4 Pinomon and 1 Argomon. So I'm actually playing 5 Digi-Eggs, mainly because you are playing Mimi in this deck, so you can go through your level 2s quite quickly. I do actually prefer Pinomon due to the extra consistency. Whenever you attack a Digimon, you can just trigger draw 1, and you are ending up attacking Digimon quite a bit in this deck. Argomon, a really fantastic card. This lets you, whenever you unsuspend during your unsuspend phase, you gain an extra memory. So it works really nicely with Shivamon, especially because a lot of your Digimon will be suspended during your opponent's turn. However, I found that I wanted my extra card a little bit more than the memory, but it is definitely up to you on which egg you guys prefer. So let's go ahead and talk about the main deck. So for the level 3 Digimon, I am playing 4 copies of the green Pulsemon. So yes, Pulsemon does actually have a green printing. I know a lot of people were surprised by this, but Shivamon, I think, is technically one of his evolution lines. If any of you guys know in the comments, go ahead and correct me. But I think the BT6 Pulsemon has like a bunch of different Digimon in like the background, like the alt art, and it like shows the different evolution lines. I know Shivamon's one of them, and then I forget the other yellow one, Kazuchimon, I think, and then there's like a couple others that maybe don't have cards left, but let me know if you guys know the lore behind that. But regardless, Pulsemon's a really cool card. During all turns, he gets plus 1k for all of your suspended Digimon. I love the all turns effect, so it's active during opponent's turn as well, so it makes them harder, makes it harder for them to swing over your Shivamon, because Shivamon does lock them out of option cards, so the only real way to get rid of him is either monster effects or by, by battle. So being able to cover your bases by battle is pretty nice as well. So then for the other rookies, 4 copies of the starter deck Tentomon. I haven't played this guy in a deck in quite a bit, but he is again just nice for the consistency. He's just on play, reveal top card of your deck, and then if it's a green Digimon, add it to your hand. So it's a really nice +1, and you're playing a pretty big monster lineup, so you don't usually whiff on this. I was testing out Betamon as well for the Tamer search, but I found myself wanting monsters more often than Tamers. I was also testing around with the Terriermon that searches Rapidmon, because I am actually playing Rapidmon in this list, but I'm not playing enough to, I think, warrant that card. And then lastly, for the remainder of the level 3s, just playing 4 copies of the Memory Choker Terriermon to round off our rookie count. So then for the level 4s, we are playing, of course, 4 copies of the Evolved Pulsemon. I believe this is going to be Extramon. So this guy has a really cool on Digivolve effect. It is, you may suspend one of your Digimon to suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. So you can just evolve him, suspend himself or anything else on your field, and then go ahead and run over one of your opponent's Digimon. Or it also sets up for your Climbmon, which has another really great on Digivolve effect that requires it to be suspended, that we'll talk about in a little bit. And then of course he's also got the all turns effect of plus 1000 for each of your other suspended Digimon. So really cool stuff there. 3 copies of Namekemon. This is the sloth guy. He's the searcher, or like the consistency card. So he's got another main effect where you can just suspend him to reveal top 3 cards of your deck, add any green Digimon among those. So it's not once per turn. You're usually, there's no way to unsuspend him in this turn, but if somehow you think of a combo that lets you do that, you can trigger him multiple times. But just being able to have this extra consistency card is nice. It also helps sometimes turn 1, if you like Brick, you can just hard play this for 4 and then get another search off the next turn, because typically, like, if you're going first, your opponent's not going to be able to out it just like immediately. But it's just another nice consistency card. Now, it does require it to suspend itself, and it is only 3000 DP, so I'm not the biggest fan of this card. A lot of times it ends up just like dying, but if you're in a position where you just need an extra card to like maybe Digivolve in the breeding area or something, it can definitely help out. And then for the other champions, of course, playing 3 copies of Arbormon, your hybrid, just to go for game and to Digivolve on your Tamers when you need to. And then for the spicy tech here, we are playing 2 copies of Rapidmon. So Rapidmon, of course, I think is just one of the most powerful like champion. I think is the best champion they've ever printed in this game. So the fact that you have access to this in a green deck, I think you should definitely be able to take advantage of this if you can, if you're playing a decent amount of tamers, and there are a couple tamers that synergize really, really well with this deck, namely 2-drop Izzy as well as Izzy Mimi, or I like to call him Mizzy. But anyways, this card is really, really good because of course it suspends X amount of things equal to the number of tamers you got in play, and then minus 5,000 on all of them is of course already a crazy effect. On top of that, it's got Armor Purge, and on top of that, it sets up for your Climon really nicely. Climon, on Evolve, you get to bounce back one of your opponent's Digimon with DP equal or lower to this Digimon's DP, which is base 8,000. But if you're reducing their Digimon by 5,000, like the previous evolution, you can, in theory, bounce back anything that's 13k or lower, which is a pretty sick effect for just an on-evolve ultimate, I think. So that synergizes really, really nicely, but sometimes you need like a big play that doesn't involve like your Shivamon if you're not able to get to your Shivamon, or just suspending more stuff. Like I said, this deck is really, really heavily reliant on board control and suspending your opponent's Digimon and attacking over them. So Rapidmon definitely helps out a lot with that. So you've got 6 champions that are essentially like suspending things. So Rapidmon is like kind of in the place of like 2 more Extramons, albeit like a lot more broken. So anyways, guys, that is it for the level 4 lineup. And then for the level 5s, of course, first of all, playing 4 copies of the Pistamon here, as well as 3 copies of Climon. So Pistamon is your Digizorption target. He is Digizorption 2, so unlike Blossomon and Argomon level 5, you do actually technically have to pay 1 for him still, since he only reduces the cost by 2. So it's a little bit less, I mean, it's still obviously really good, but it's not as broken because you're not evolving for 3. But I think the downside of that is made up for the fact that he has that all turns effect. This Digimon gets plus 1,000 for each of your other suspended Digimon. So that same inherited effect as both Exermon as well as the BT8 Pulsemon. So I think that comes up quite a bit. He is also 7,000 as opposed to Argomon's 6,000 DP stat line. So that can occasionally come up if you need to swing over like a level 4, like a Rapid or a Flame Dramon or something like that. But anyway, so this guy's really good for the efficiency. And then Climon, playing 3 copies of him, he has 2 really good effects. So first of all, I mentioned earlier, he's got the 1 Digivolving. If he is suspended, you can return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon with DP less than or equal to this Digimon on the field. So what you can do, a couple of cool combos you can do is like, for one, if you got Extramon in field, you can like Digivolve Extramon, effect, suspend himself, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, and then Digivolve into Climon. A Climon will be suspended on top of the Extramon, and then effect, since it's suspended, you can bounce back the Digimon you just suspended to your opponent's hand. And that's essentially like an 8,000 or lower with this combo. Because he's suspended off of this doesn't have any level restriction, so you can suspend anything with Extramon, and you're basically just bouncing back an 8,000 or lower Digimon just by like evolving him. So you can out opponents Dino Bees, Pyledramons, Lady Devies, etc. Really nice stuff there. So not only that, but then like I mentioned earlier, you can also do the Rapidmon combo. You can evolve for 4 or 3 on top of your Terriermon, minus 5,000 on something, swing because you've got Armor Purge, you're protected. Even if you die, you can just evolve again, and then you can go into like a Climb on top of that, bounce back something with that. So a really cool ultimate. I think you've also got the 1 cost option, some of these Santi, that you can pair this with as well. This card I'll talk about in a little bit, but also lets you suspend one of your things to suspend one of your opponent's thing. That combos really nicely with Climon as well. I can't say enough good things about Climon. He's really cool. And then for the level 6s, of course, 4 copies of Shivamon. This guy is your boss monster of the deck, so he's got 2 really cool effects. So first of all, while all of your Digimon are suspended, your opponent cannot use option cards. So that is just an absolutely huge floodgate effect. If this Digimon is the only thing in play and you've got it suspended, your opponent can't use it. And then if just keep in mind, you have to have all of your Digimon suspended, which is actually the reason I'm not playing blockers in this deck, because blockers do actually conflict with Shivamon. So just keep in mind, like if you got like 2 Digimon on field, like you evolve into Shivamon, make sure you at least like swing with your first one, and then like make sure your Shivamon suspended, because if you got a situation like this, your opponent will be able to activate option cards. So just make sure you're aware of that. And then his secondary effect, where your turn when this Digimon becomes unsuspended during your unsuspend phase, you get to trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. Let me repeat that. Just by unsuspending him, due to like the normal turn maintenance, you get to trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. I don't need to mention how crazy trashing cards is off your security stack is in this meta with Crimson Blazes, Chaos Degradation, Hammer Sparks, not to mention the bunch of tamers like TK and Davis that you don't want your opponent resolving their effects. So passively being able to just get rid of your opponent's security is really nice. It effectively makes it like your opponent is on a clock. They're losing a security every single turn, so they realistically only have a couple turns. If they let Shivamon resolve more than once, then you're probably going to be in a really good position to be able to game them. So it's really, really nice. And then of course, this is really, really great against set control slash like yellow hybrid, being able to just, because you can take that matchup a little bit slower, just being able to build into your Shivamons and then slowly just trash the top cards of your security is really, really awesome. So that is it for the primary mega. And then for the secondary mega, I am playing 2 copies of Nidhoggmon. I don't think any green evolution deck is complete without the Dark Dragon himself. So Nidhogg, of course, Digiburst 4, you get to trash all the cards underneath him and then suspend all of your opponent's Digimon with 5,000 or lower. And then bottom deck, everything that has that is in a suspended position. So that part is not DP restricted. So being able to bottom deck Imperial Dramons, Pile Dramons, anything on deletion effects, Zwart defeats, Mastamons, whatever, you name it, Nidhogg can get rid of it, especially because you have so many ways to suspend your opponent's Digimon. Even if they're trying to play around Nidhogg and they've got something in play that's more than 5,000, you can suspend it with an Exermon and then Digivolve, like Digivolve Exermon, suspend something or suspend itself, Digizord for 1, and then Digivolve into your Nidhogg here. So it's a really, really disgusting board removal card. So Nidhogg, I cannot say enough good things about that card. But that is it for the monster lineup for the Tamers and Option cards. Playing quite a heavy amount of Tamers and Option cards. So first of all, 2 copies of Mimi, 2 copies of Mizzy, and then 2 copies of Izzy for your Tamer lineup. So all of these are really good in their own right. Of course, Mimi being able to set you to 3 and then resolving her effect to essentially get another breeding phase is really, really awesome. Only 2 because I didn't want to open too many of these. You really don't need more than 1 at any given time. And then I'm actually playing Mizzy in this deck for a couple reasons. Now, Mizzy historically is like not seen that much played and really wasn't even played that much in Green Hybrid. It really is like a one-of at best. But Mizzy in this deck is really, really good because you can combo it with Samadi Santi. So Samadi Santi is the new 1-cost option card out of BT8 that says you can suspend one of your Digimon to suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, and any Digimon suspended by that effect, your opponent's Digimon suspended by this effect, will not unsuspend during their following turn, even if they evolve it, etc. The only really way they can do that is like popping it maybe by a Deathclaw or something, tactile retreating it, or like doing something like DNA Digivolution. But anyways, the fact that you can combo Mizzy with that means that you can almost guarantee that your opponent will have a suspended Digimon, therefore getting you the +2 memory. So it's a similar situation to like the whole blue hybrid lock where like they would have Sora Joe and then you can like Tommy / Cory Kakumon freeze their Digimon so they won't be able to attack with it or get rid of it anyway. So you'll be able to guarantee yourself the extra 2 memory. So I'm kind of going in a similar vein to that. I haven't tested it out a ton yet, so I can't say whether or not this is like an absolute 4 in this deck. Maybe if you guys know like this, maybe if you think this card's absolutely broken, you could put it in. But I really want to fit in all of these 3 Tamers. So Mizzy, really, really good. And then the secondary effect that a lot of people forget about sometimes is when you're attacking with a level 5 Digimon, you can just straight up reveal the top 3 and then Digivolve into a level 6 if you do hit a level 6 green Digimon. So sometimes you can just randomly like Digivolve into like a Nidhogg or a Shivamon off of like a swing from a Climbon. So it's a really cool interaction. And then Izzy here is just really good for making your Samadis essentially a free activation because it says when your opponent's Digimon is suspended via one of your effects, you get to suspend this to gain memory. Also effectively makes Rapidmon a 3 cost because Rapidmon suspends Digimon up to number Tamers. So if you got like one of these in play, you suspend something -5, you can suspend Izzy, then gain a memory. So another cool interaction is that one. So there's just lots of cool stuff you can do with these Tamers. So then for the option cards, I already mentioned the best one in the deck is Samadi Santi, being able to freeze your opponent's Digimon and just having like a 1-cost flower cannon is really, really awesome. And then of course the security effect is to be able to suspend one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers. So being able to prevent getting hybrided for game is just a really nice feeling. I wish we had this last format, but it's a really cool card regardless, being able to lock up cards like that. And then for the memory consistency cards, kind of is the 2 copies of green memory boost just to get extra searches off, and then 1 copy of hidden potential discovered, because it's a limited card for a reason. So that is going to be the deck list, guys. So if you enjoyed Shivamon and if you want maybe more green deck profiles, let me know down in the comments what you think of this list and what you think of Shivamon. Do you think he's a good card? Do you think he's a little bit underwhelming? Let me know your thoughts. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.